The 12-foot holographic display showing Kaida's arrest record exploded into sparks as Rix's tail whipped through it. The young Kvalri, his golden bronze scales bristling with panic, crashed backward into the council chamber's stone bench, all four claws extended, amber eyes wide with terror. "You can't take her!" Rix shrieked, his spotted leopard-pattern scales shifting darker with distress. His tufted ears pinned flat against his skull as he scrambled to his feet, positioning himself between Kaida and the three council elders looming on their elevated platform. Kaida, the human mechanic with grease-stained hands and a tool belt hanging loose around her hips, just stood there in the center of the chamber's raised platform. She picked at a bit of solder stuck under her fingernail, completely unbothered by the purple bioluminescent crystals pulsing angry red throughout the domed ceiling above them. "Kid, I'm literally here because I forgot to file adoption paperwork," Kaida said, flicking the solder away. "Not because I'm being arrested." Thorn, the massive crimson-scaled Kvalri elder with four vertical amber eyes and a spinal ridge that scraped the ceiling when he stood, slammed his clawed fist onto the stone podium. The entire chamber shook. Small chunks of crystal rained down from the walls. "The issue," Thorn growled, his silver-streaked scales rippling with each word, "is that humans don't bond properly. You're biologically incapable of pack imprinting." Ambassador Vecht, the insectoid Zir diplomat with her blue-black chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the crystal light, clicked her mandibles in agreement. All six of her segmented limbs gestured simultaneously at a data tablet she held in her upper right appendage. "Our records indicate humans reproduce sexually with their own species," Vecht said, her compound eyes shimmering iridescent green as she consulted the tablet. "When you inevitably produce biological offspring, the Kvalri cub will become secondary, discarded." Rix's scales went completely dark. His tail curled around his small frame protectively. "Is that true?" His voice came out tiny, almost a whisper. Kaida turned to look at him. She raised one eyebrow. "You think I'm gonna have a kid and just, what? Throw you out?" "Species records suggest," Vecht started. "I'm gonna stop you right there," Kaida interrupted, holding up one grease-stained hand. She walked off the central platform, boots clunking on stone, and dropped to one knee in front of Rix. She grabbed his scaled shoulders with both hands. "If I have a biological kid, which, for the record, requires effort I'm not planning to put in, they'd have a sibling. You." The purple crystals throughout the chamber flickered from angry red back to their normal soft purple glow. Rix's scales lightened slightly. "A sibling? Yeah, you'd still be my kid. The other one would also be my kid. Basic math." Thorn's four eyes narrowed. His muscular frame leaned forward, spinal ridge scraping against the stone ceiling with a horrible grinding sound. "Humans don't have pack hierarchy," he said. "Without biological imperative, you would abandon." The door to the council chamber exploded inward. Dr. Menix, the slate-gray Kvalri physician with traditional healing robes and a scarred face, stumbled through carrying what looked like a smoking diagnostic scanner. His one clouded eye twitched as he wheezed. "Terrible timing!" "But the human's medical results came back," Menix gasped, holding up the sparking scanner. "Someone needs to see this immediately." "We're in the middle of determining custody," Thorn snapped. "Yes, which is why you need to see this now." Menix slammed the scanner onto the podium. Holographic data erupted upward, filling the chamber with floating biometric readings. Kaida squinted at the displays. "Is that my brain scan? Your oxytocin production is off the charts," Menix said, pointing at a specific reading with one clawed finger. His scarred face twisted into confusion. "Your neurological bonding patterns with the cub are identical to Kvalri pack bonding. Stronger, actually." Ambassador Vecht's wings extended slightly, their translucent membrane catching the purple crystal light. Her mandibles clicked rapidly in what might have been surprise. "That's impossible," Vecht said, her 6 limbs moving in agitated patterns. "Humans don't biologically bond outside their species." "Well, this one did," Menix replied, tapping the scanner again. More holographic data spiraled outward. See these stress hormone spikes? They correlate exactly with the cub's distress moments. Her biochemistry is literally responding to his emotional state. Kaida stood up slowly, still looking at the floating medical data. Huh, neat. Rix's tail unwrapped from his body. His tufted ears perked up. You're actually bonded to me? Apparently my brain thinks you're worth keeping alive, Kaida said. She ruffled the scales between his ears. Who knew? Thorn's four eyes widened. All four. Simultaneously, his crimson scales flushed darker, silver streaks seeming to glow in the crystal light. This changes nothing, Thorn declared, but his voice had lost some of its certainty. The human still hasn't filed proper documentation. The cub should be placed with a Kvalri family who— Oh, for fuck's sake, Kaida muttered. She reached into her tool belt, pulled out a crumpled piece of paper covered in mechanical diagrams, flipped it over, and scribbled something on the back with a grease pencil. She walked up to Thorn's podium and slapped it down. There! Adoption paperwork. Filed. Thorn picked up the paper with two claws, holding it delicately as if it might explode. His four eyes scanned the content. This says Rix is my kid now. Deal with it. And has a drawing of what appears to be a middle finger. Legally binding, Kaida said. It absolutely is not. Your law code, Section 3, subsection 12, states that any guardian claim filed with the Council and witnessed by a Council member becomes valid immediately upon submission, Ambassador Vecht interjected. Her mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. All six of her limbs pointed at the paper. That's technically filed paperwork, witnessed by all of us. The chamber went silent, except for the soft humming of purple crystals. Thorn's spinal ridge scraped against the ceiling as he straightened to his full 8-foot height. His muscular frame trembled slightly. You're telling me, he said slowly, each word coming out like gravel, that a human mechanic who forgot to file adoption forms for 6 months just legally claimed a Kvalri cub using a grease-stained napkin with profanity on it. Technically, it's the back of a coolant system schematic, Kaida corrected. Rix's scales brightened to their normal golden bronze. His tail swished back and forth, spotted patterns rippling with excitement. So I can stay? He asked. Dr. Menix, still clutching his smoking scanner, nodded. His scarred face cracked into something resembling a smile. The medical data supports it, Menix said. Her bonding response is genuine. Honestly, I've never seen readings this strong even in biological Kvalri parents. Ambassador Vecht folded all 6 of her limbs in front of her chitinous body. Her compound eyes shimmered as she tilted her head. I have one remaining question, Vecht said. Human, what happens when the cub reaches maturity and desires to connect with Kvalri culture? You cannot teach him our ways. Kaida shrugged. Then we find someone who can. I fix engines, not cultural identity crises. That's surprisingly reasonable, Vecht admitted. Plus, Kaida continued, Kid already tried teaching me Kvalri meditation techniques. I fell asleep in 4 minutes, and he laughed at me for an hour. Pretty sure he's got the culture thing handled. Rix's tufted ears pinned back in embarrassment. You were snoring! Because your meditation chant sounds like a lullaby. Thorn watched this exchange with all 4 eyes, his crimson scales gradually shifting to a less aggressive shade. His silver streaks seemed to soften in the purple crystal light. He set down Kaida's makeshift adoption paperwork with surprising gentleness. Fine, Thorn said. The human keeps the cub. But he pointed one massive clawed finger at Kaida. You file proper documentation within 3 days. Real documentation. Not trash. Scout's honor, Kaida said, making a gesture that definitely wasn't a scout salute. That's still a middle finger, Thorn observed. Is it, though? Rix grabbed Kaida's hand with both of his clawed paws, his scales practically glowing with relief. His long, articulated tail wrapped around her wrist. Can we go home now? He asked. I'm hungry. Yeah, kid. Let's get out of here before they change their minds. They turned to leave. Kaida's boots clunked on stone as they headed toward the chamber's exit. Rix's claws clicked beside her, his spotted tail swishing contentedly. "Human!" Thorn called out. His voice echoed through the domed chamber. Kaida stopped, turned halfway around. "What?" Thorn's four eyes studied her. His spinal ridge lowered slightly, making him seem almost smaller, less threatening. "For what it's worth," he said, "the medical data doesn't lie. You're bonded to him properly. That's rare. Even among our own kind." Kaida nodded once. "Cool. We good?" "We're good." They left the council chamber. The heavy stone doors closed behind them with a deep boom that resonated through the medical wing corridor. Harsh white overhead lighting replaced the purple crystal glow. Through transparent observation windows along one wall, various species could be seen in medical rooms receiving treatment. Rix walked close to Kaida, his small golden bronze frame barely reaching her waist. His amber eyes with slit pupils kept glancing up at her. "Were you really not worried?" he asked quietly. "About what?" "About them taking me away." Kaida stopped walking. She knelt down again in the middle of the corridor, the white light making her grease stains look even darker against her pale skin. She looked Rix directly in his amber eyes. "Kid, I once rebuilt a fusion core while it was actively melting down because someone told me it couldn't be done. You think some bureaucrats scare me?" Rix's scales brightened even more. He launched himself forward, wrapping both arms and his tail around Kaida in a tight hug. His retractable claws carefully stayed sheathed. "Thank you for not leaving me," he whispered into her shoulder. Kaida awkwardly patted his scaled back. "Yeah, well, you're stuck with me now. Legally binding profane paperwork and everything." They stayed like that for a moment in the harsh corridor lighting, surrounded by the soft beeping of medical equipment from nearby rooms. Then Rix pulled back, his tufted ears perked up with sudden excitement. "Can we stop for food on the way home?" "What do you want? Protein cubes?" "We have protein cubes at home. But the vendor near the transport station has the good ones, the spicy ones." Kaida stood up, bones cracking. "Fine, but you're carrying them. My tool belt's already heavy enough." They continued down the corridor toward the exit. Their footsteps echoed in sync boots and claws, creating an oddly harmonious rhythm against the metallic floor. "Hey, Kaida," Rick said as they reached the exit door. "Yeah? If you did have a biological kid someday, would you really treat them the same as me?" Kaida pushed open the door, warm evening air rushing in from outside. She glanced down at him. "Rix, I'd treat any kid I'm stuck with the same way. Mildly annoyed, but ultimately responsible." His tail swished happily. "That's weirdly comforting." "Good. Now let's go get your overpriced protein cubes before I change my mind." They stepped out into the evening together, the council chamber drama already fading into just another weird Thursday. Behind them, through the observation windows, Dr. Menix watched them go while holding his smoking scanner. His scarred face finally relaxed into a genuine smile. Ambassador Vecht appeared beside him in the corridor, her 6 limbs moving in contemplative patterns. "Humans are strange," Vecht observed, her compound eyes following the pair outside. "They are," Menix agreed. "But that one loves her cub. The data doesn't lie." Back in the council chamber, Thorn sat alone on his elevated platform, holding Kaida's crumpled adoption paperwork. His 4 eyes reread the crude message and the drawing of a middle finger. His crimson scales rippled with what might have been amusement. "Deal with it," he muttered to himself. Then he filed the paperwork in the official records database, profanity and all. Outside, under the purple-tinted evening sky, Kaida and Rix walked toward the transport station. The young Kvalri's scales gleamed golden bronze in the fading light, his spotted patterns shifting as he bounced excitedly beside his human guardian. "Can I get 2 containers of protein cubes?" Rix asked. "Don't push your luck, kid." 3 containers? Now you're getting none. "You wouldn't do that." "Try me." His tail wrapped around her wrist again as they walked, and Kaida didn't pull away. legally binding, profane paperwork and all.